Howdy there, folks. It's Hunter, and this one's going to be a little bit different. I just kind of wanted to chat while running around Iron Banner. Um, so I made a video a little while back talking about how, the bow nerf was the worst thing ever and blah, blah, blah. And, well, I really don't know if I kind of hammered that in well enough. If you guys didn't know, the bow nerf is a lot worse than you think it is. Because, yes, it's a 15% nerf, but also every other weapon that's a primary besides bows got a precision damage increase, whereas bows went down. So realistically, it was actually a double nerf. So it equates to something like a 30% nerf for bows, not a 15%. And some of you are okay with that. So I'm addressing this video to everybody, not just bow mains, and why you guys should not be okay with this nerf. I understand that Bungie wants to have, or at least this is something they've said in the past, they said they want to have like a rotating meta. And, I mean, personally, I'd rather just not have anything like that, but here we are. They've always, sometimes they do things that just kind of swing a little bit too drastically. And in this case, this is probably the most egregious nerf I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a weapon get hit with a 30% damage nerf. And I know they're just saying it's a 15, but it's not. It's much higher than that. It is absolutely closer to like 30%. Just because of the nature of it, because they increased everything else's damage while increasing health, as well as nerfing bows. So they went double negative there. Now, look at that, getting ripped apart by Polaris. Shouldn't have challenged that anyways, but case in point, bows are just in a terrible place right now, and I really don't think that they even belong in this sandbox. They're still fun to use, and I'm still obsessed with them, and I'm still going to run around with TTKs like a complete madman and try to do stupid crap with them. But that doesn't mean it's going to work. I mean, that worked, but that was my sidearm. They feel completely out of place because they have to hit all headshots, which most other weapons do, but there's some that don't. But they also have charge time and blah blah blah. You know, I've said this a million times. My reasonings for why this can't even talk. This nerf was so heavy-handed. It's because they already existed in such a niche way, and they were already so different from everything else that it's nerfing them to that degree is just beyond ridiculous. And the reason that the rest of you who aren't bow mains should not be okay with this is, well, what if you're next? The only weapon that I've consistently seen stay, well, consistent is hand cannons. They're the only ones that have always held a place in the meta for the most part. Even with these weird auto rifle metas that we get, there's been a pulse rifle meta here and there, things like that. Hand cannons are really the only constant. Some hand cannon is always going to be viable, and maybe at some point some are more viable than others. Like right now it's Iggy, and this isn't the first time it's been Iggy, and for a while, for the longest time, it was just kind of Ace. But that's not really the point. Bungie's obsession with hand cannons aside, or just powerful pistols in general, which dated back to the Halo days, I don't like the swinging meta. I don't like that something can just randomly be like, you know what, we're going to hammer this into the dirt, and then suddenly this weapon is just unusable. And while bows have certainly been the most dramatic of all the nerfs we've seen to primaries, what's next? I would assume that SMGs are going to get hit at some point, maybe not, but that's only because autos, I mean, well, look at autos. Autos are kind of the meta right now, and they're doing really well after the health changes, but they're getting immediately nerfed. And I don't think that an auto rifle meta is necessarily the healthiest myself, just because of the way that they operate, because they're so forgiving and so stable and so easy to use. They don't really seem like the healthiest meta. But it doesn't change the fact that, well, they're not hand cannons, and they were allowed to shine for like 5 minutes. And they're still going to be good, mind you. Ooh, that was a nice one. They're still going to be good, but, I mean, what's next? That's just kind of my question, and that's why I don't think we should be okay with these kind of nerfs. In my personal opinion, several things need to happen, and one of them is never going to happen, and one of them might happen, but I don't know. First and foremost, I would love it if bows just completely got reworked at this point. Make them operate somehow differently. I've suggested several different things, whether that be to increase the draw speed to a point that they're able to fire as fast as a hand cannon, but lower the damage even further so that they take 3 shots, maybe 2 heads, 1 body, something like that. Or just lower the draw speed a little bit across the board so that they essentially are going to be able to kill closer to 1 second, which is what so many other things can do. Come on, dude. Leave me alone. Guys, this is like the best duel ever. Got to watch me and that Titan flail around for a bit. But anyways, the point still stands. They do need some kind of a rework. And I don't know how grand that's going to be, but they just don't belong. And at this point, they've always operated in such a niche group for so long that they really have never had a place to begin with. They've always been such an outlier among primaries, and I'm totally fine with them being changed to operate more in line with the others. I don't really care what their identity is. They don't have to 2-tap for me to like them. That's not what I like about them. I just like them because they're bows. I like the way they feel, and that's the way that a lot of other bow mains feel. And the other thing that I think needs to happen is I really think they need to tighten up the spread of TTKs in this game, because we've got such a wide, varying group of TTKs. Like, at the slowest right now, we've got something like, say, Wishender, which is something abysmal, like a 1.3 or something like that. I actually think it's slower than that. I haven't really tested that in a while because I always would half draw with it. But we've got stuff that's over a second, and then we've got things that are capable of getting down to like 0.6, 0.5, 0.3 with the right perks. The 0.3 might be a bit of an exaggeration, but even at base, we've got some weapons that are able to hit 0.6. You know, looking at you, adaptive sidearms and high impact pulses. And that's fine, but not when you've got other stuff that's so way out of band that's so much higher than that. I really think it would feel a lot better if more things were like, I don't know, maybe like 0.75 at the fastest to like 1 second. And then everything feels viable. And then we don't have these stupid metas anymore. We don't have these, some weapons feel amazing, some don't, and then, oh, it's at Bungie's discretion, and you know, whatever whims they have, this is what's going to happen. I don't know. Haha, cute. I don't know. It's kind of a rant here, and I know that wasn't a very direct rant either. I've kind of just saying random stuff while suffering in this Iron Banner match because I'm trying to use a bow. And I've actually got some pretty good gameplay coming up for you guys as well. I have popped off in some matches with this. I've just been playing like a complete psycho and just rushing in and not caring because, I don't know, doesn't matter. I'm just having fun with it. But it would be nice if they existed more solidly with other weapons and didn't feel so out of band. And I don't want this to continue to just shift back and forth and we don't know what's going to happen next and we don't know what primary is going to be viable that isn't a hand cannon. I don't like that. I would like them to tighten things up, and for sure, rework bows. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.